The heart pounds wildly, hands trembling slightly, but not from fear. The evening that was supposed to mark the beginning of a new life is already throbbing in his temples. Everything planned down to the smallest detail: a cozy Italian restaurant, a quiet corner, favorite candles, and the subtle gleam of a ring in his pocket. It was all meant to be perfect. But sometimes reality strikes like icy water, sharp, merciless, without warning. He saw her gaze flicker to her phone more often than it should have, caught a name that had no place in his world. But the plan was already in motion, the wheel spinning, and stopping now meant plunging into the abyss. Except, who could have known the abyss had already opened beneath his feet? When you say the words you've been holding on to for months and hear that coveted yes, it feels like you've won. But everything shatters in a single moment, just a phone vibrating and a few words she tried to hide. He should have walked away then, but instead, he chose to see it through, even when the truth left him with no shelter, no illusions. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watched this video from. Now, let's get started. My name's Simon. The night I believed everything in my life was finally falling into place began like any ordinary Friday. I'd spent months poring over spreadsheets, agonizing over tiny details, and carrying around quiet pressure to make sure every part of it felt right. Everything had led to tonight. I was going to propose to Jasmine. We'd been together a little over 2 years, and from the start, things between us had just clicked. There was something about her, sharp humor, a steady calm, and a groundedness that made the idea of a future together feel real. I never second-guessed it, not even once. I wanted the proposal to be a reflection of us, simple, sincere, and intimate, without theatrics. I chose Matteo's, a small Italian restaurant tucked away in a quiet part of town, the same place we'd gone on our first real date. It had that soft, secluded ambiance we both loved. I'd asked my best friend, Mitchell, to help lock down the private room. Jasmine's cousin, Hannah, offered to bring a few subtle touches, candles, some gentle floral arrangements, nothing over the top. As I slipped the engagement ring into my coat pocket, it felt like it carried the weight of a whole chapter of my life, a slender silver band with a single diamond, timeless, modest, exactly her taste. We headed out just before 8. She came down the stairs in a green dress I didn't recognize, and the moment she smiled, all the nerves that had been building in me just faded. That's how she was for me, like a reset button I didn't know I needed. We talked during the drive, but something felt off. She kept glancing down at her phone, texting quickly, then angling the screen away from me when I looked over. I asked if everything was okay. She gave me a quick smile and tucked her hair behind her ear. "Just work stuff," she said. "Nothing serious." I took her word for it. Or maybe I just wanted to. When we arrived outside Matteo's, I sent Mitchell a message. "We're here." He texted back right away, "All ready." I double-checked the ring box. My heartbeat was steady, hands still, no trembling. This was it. The moment everything was supposed to change. And it did change, just not the way I expected. We stepped into Matteo's. The lights were low and golden, just as I'd hoped. Soft music played, candles flickered gently. The private dining room waited behind a curtain. Mitchell and Hannah were hidden behind the divider, waiting for the signal. Jasmine looked around, offering a small smile. "It's nice," she said. "Not stunning, not beautiful, just nice." I pushed the thought aside. There was only one shot at this, and I wasn't going to let hesitation ruin it. We took our seats and skipped the menus. The waiter brought over 2 glasses of wine without a word. Another detail I'd planned ahead. Then her phone buzzed on the table. She grabbed it instantly. Too fast. I caught the name before she flipped it over. Liam. Not her mom. Not Hannah. Not a coworker. Just Liam. "Everything all right?" I asked, doing my best to sound casual. She laughed softly, a little forced. "Oh, that's just Liam from the running group. Probably about some weekend thing. No big deal." I nodded, slowly. Maybe it was harmless. Maybe my nerves were distorting everything. But my stomach dropped, sudden and cold. Then Mitchell texted, "Ready?" I typed back, "Give me a second." Jasmine was in the middle of telling me about a show she'd started, but her eyes kept drifting toward her phone. Her body was sitting across from me, but her attention wasn't. I could have stopped there. I could have asked what was really going on, but I didn't. Instead, I stood up, reached into my coat, and pulled out the ring box. Her eyes widened. She blinked, like she was catching up to the moment. I got down on one knee. "Jasmine Matthews, I love you more than words can say. Will you marry me?" Time seemed to freeze. Even the background music went quiet in my ears. She gasped, hands covering her mouth, tears springing to her eyes. She nodded quickly, almost desperately. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, Simon." Behind us, Mitchell and Hannah clapped softly. Hannah dabbed at her eyes. Mitchell grinned and gave me a thumbs up. I kissed Jasmine's hand and slipped the ring on. For the first time that evening, I finally felt like I could breathe. Then, beneath the table, her phone vibrated again. I looked down, and this time, I saw the message. "Miss you. Can't wait to see you." I didn't react, not right away. I sat back down slowly, my heart pounding, thoughts scattering like leaves in the wind. Jasmine wiped at her cheeks, let out a breathy laugh, and turned her hand so Hannah could admire the ring's sparkle. Across the room, Mitchell and Hannah looked overjoyed, like the scene had played out just the way it was supposed to. But I felt distant, like I was watching everything through a pane of glass. She slipped her phone back into her bag and noticed me watching her. Her smile came fast, too wide. "You okay?" she asked, her voice light. But something in her tone said she already knew I wasn't. "Yeah," I said, though the sound felt foreign in my ears, like it didn't quite belong to me. Around the table, the celebration continued. Plates came and went, glasses chimed in cheerful toasts. Mitchell made a crack about the bachelor party plans, and Hannah launched into stories about her hunt for the perfect wedding dress. Across from me, Jasmine kept sneaking peeks at her phone beneath the table, not even pretending to hide it anymore. Subtlety had clearly stopped mattering. When dessert showed up, she leaned over, kissed my cheek lightly, and whispered, "Be right back, babe." Then she slipped off down a dim hallway at the back of the restaurant. Mitchell leaned toward me, grinning wide. "You crushed it, bro," he said. "She looks like she's walking on clouds." I nodded without thinking, purely automatic. Half a minute later, I pushed back from my chair and followed the route she'd taken. I found her standing by the service exit near the kitchen, half hidden in shadows, her phone pressed tight to her ear. "I don't have long, Liam," she said, voice hushed and hurried. He popped the question. I said yes, I know, yeah, it's wild. "No, I didn't tell him about us," she went on. "He has no clue. I just need a little more time, okay?" There was a pause. Then her tone shifted, turning soft, even tender. "I miss you too. I can't wait to see you tonight." My stomach twisted. I took a step forward, and the floor groaned under my shoe. Her head snapped around. The color drained from her face as soon as she saw me. Like a kid caught doing something wrong, she shoved her phone into her purse. "Simon," she stammered, voice tight with panic. I raised a hand to cut her off. I didn't want lies. Not yet. "Who's Liam?" I asked, my voice like ice. She opened her mouth, then shut it. Swallowed. "It's not what you think," she blurted, words stumbling out. It's complicated." I didn't say anything, just looked at her. She edged toward me, hand reaching. "Come on, let's just head back," she said quickly. "We can talk about it later." Later. That damned word again. I drew in a slow breath. My hands didn't shake. My voice stayed calm. No, it's over, I said, quiet but sure. Go back in and finish the performance if you want. I'm done. I turned and walked. Behind me, her heels clattered against the floor. Simon, please, she whispered harshly, hurrying after me. I didn't stop. I pushed the front door open, and the cool night hit me like a slap, pulling me fully back into myself. She caught up outside, grabbing my arm. Just hear me out, she begged, out of breath. I jerked away and turned to face her. You said yes to me, I said evenly. Then you went and told him you missed him. She froze on the sidewalk. You lied to my face, Jasmine. Tell me which part of that I'm supposed to misunderstand. Her eyes blinked rapidly, brimming with tears. I never meant for this to happen, she said. I was confused. Liam, it's nothing. He doesn't mean anything. It was stupid. Nothing? I repeated. You left our engagement dinner to call him. Her mouth opened again, but she had no answer. Behind her, Mitchell and Hannah had stepped outside, watching us with puzzled expressions. Mitchell met my eyes, saw something there, and stopped cold. You lied, I said again. And you're still lying. Jasmine's face crumpled. Her voice dropped. Please, not out here. I let out a short, bitter laugh. You already brought it outside. She tried one last time. I love you, Simon. I do. I was just scared, that's all. I made a mistake, but I can fix this. You don't fix love with a backup plan, I said, stepping away. For a long moment, none of us moved. The only sound was our shallow breathing against the silence of the street. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring box, empty now, but once filled with hope and promises. I placed it in her hand. Here, I said. You'll need it for someone else. Her fingers curled around it instinctively. She looked down, stunned into silence. I didn't wait for her to speak. I turned, walked straight to my car, got in, and drove off without a second glance. When I got home, I locked the door behind me and dragged a chair beneath the handle. Something solid, something final. I wasn't going to sit through any justifications. I wasn't going to let her pretend everything was fine. I dropped my keys on the counter, collapsed onto the couch, and stared blankly at the wall. This night was supposed to be one of the happiest of my life. It didn't feel like a breakup. It felt like the ground had dropped out from under me. Sometime later, Jasmine showed up. I heard her at the door, first a few quiet knocks, then more urgent ones. She called my name, but I didn't move. Eventually, the knocking faded into silence. I stayed there, letting the quiet sink in, like mist slipping through the cracks. I could hear her footsteps receding down the hallway. That night, her texts started rolling in, one after another. Regret, desperation. I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Can we please talk? I left them unread. I couldn't face another false promise. Not yet. By the next morning, a locksmith had come and gone. The locks were changed before noon. A new set of keys in my pocket. A new line drawn in the sand. She was officially out. 3 days passed. I kept up appearances, showed up at work, hit the gym, pretended like my world hadn't collapsed. Then I cleared the apartment of her presence, her sweaters, her favorite novels, the art she insisted made the place feel like home. I packed it all into boxes and dropped them off at her parents' front porch. No note, no message, just closure and cardboard. Jasmine didn't back down. She kept calling, kept texting, even showed up at my workplace unannounced. I stayed unmoved. I thought maybe silence would be the last thing she'd hear from me. I was wrong. Thursday night, my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. I was about to let it go to voicemail, but something told me to answer. Hello? I said. There was a pause. Then a voice. Young, uneasy. Is this Simon? Yeah. Who's this? It's Liam. My chest tightened. I stood instinctively. What do you want? He hesitated. I thought you should know. I didn't realize she was with someone. Jasmine had told him she was single. I didn't respond, just waited. We met at the gym 4 months ago. She said it was just casual, nothing serious. He hadn't even known my name until a few days ago. The line went quiet for a moment. When I found out, I ended it, he said. Told her it wasn't right. She said she didn't want to lose either of us. My hands clenched involuntarily. He lowered his voice. I'm sorry, man. If I'd known, I wouldn't have gone near her. I pushed the bitterness down. Appreciate the call, I said, and hung up. I sat in silence, staring at the wall. 4 months. While I'd been dreaming of a future with her, she was still browsing her options. Not committed, still shopping around. I thought about all the late nights she claimed to be working overtime, the weekends she said she needed to clear her head. The signs had always been there. I just didn't want to see them. Now, I couldn't look away. No more pretending, no more excuses. I finally saw Jasmine clearly, and she wasn't the woman I thought I loved. 2 days after Liam called, there was another knock at my door. I didn't move at first. Part of me wanted to let it go unanswered, but then I thought, no, this needs an ending. I opened the door. Jasmine stood there, no makeup, hair tied back, hoodie and jeans, smaller than I remembered, eyes red and puffy. Simon, she said, voice barely holding together. Can we talk? I leaned against the doorway, arms folded. Talk. She glanced at the floor, then looked up again. I messed up. I know. I didn't want to hurt you. I was scared. I didn't know what I wanted. Liam, he was a distraction. I stayed silent. She started talking faster, like she was trying to outrun her own shame. When you proposed, it terrified me, because I realized how deeply I loved you. I didn't think I deserved it, but I do love you. I looked at her, really looked. 2 weeks ago, I might have believed her. Now, all I saw was someone terrified of losing something she thought would always be there. You don't love me, I said, calm and clear. You loved the freedom to choose. Tears welled in her eyes again. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. I'm not your backup plan, I said. I'm not the one you settle for when plan A falls apart. She shook her head, pleading. You're not. You're who I want. You had months to figure that out, I replied. You didn't. She wiped at her face, grasping for words. I just stood there watching. No anger, no sadness, just the sharp truth, like a blade in sunlight. It's over, I said. Take care. I stepped back inside and shut the door. She didn't knock again. From the window, I watched her walk away. And for the first time, I didn't feel anything. It's strange how quickly someone can disappear from your heart the moment you realize they never really saw you in the first place. Mitchell would still check in from time to time. Hannah had sent one message, a blanket apology for everything that had happened. While I could see the good intentions behind it, forgiveness wasn't what I was looking for. What I needed was space, and that's exactly what I gave myself. Suddenly, work didn't feel like such a burden. I started sleeping soundly again. I picked up my old running routine, revisited passions I'd left behind when I was too busy trying to shape a life around someone else. One night, I was out with a few friends, laughing louder than I had in months, when my phone lit up. Jasmine's name appeared with a short message. Can we talk? I stared at it for a moment, not out of hesitation because I wasn't torn at all. I gave a small smile, blocked the number, slid my phone back into my pocket, and that was that. No long conversations, no emotional goodbyes, no second thoughts, just clean, final closure. It's strange. When betrayal hits, it feels like it might break you, like the weight of it will press down on your chest forever. But here's the thing. Betrayal comes with a gift. It strips away every comforting lie you've told yourself. It unmasks the truth, not just about them, but about you. If she hadn't revealed who she truly was, I might have spent years pouring myself into a future that was always destined to collapse. Now I'm building something real, something that's mine. And this is the life I should have been fighting for all along. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.